స్నేహదీపమే నిహితురకు.
I call upon the head of the Department of English of Vimla College, Dr. Nisha Francis, to welcome the gathering.
I request all the participants to kindly mute the devices. There's a lot of howling and echo altogether on the platform.
Ma'am, you are in mute.
Not audible.
Hello, am I audible now?
Yeah, perfect.
Audible with some disturbance.
Yeah, I wish if all could mute the devices.
Yeah. I'm just doing it, ma'am. I can take care of it.
Yeah. Can I start?
Yeah, please.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, please.
A warm good morning to all. Respected Principal Dr. Sister Beena Jose, most distinguished chief guest and star of the day, the multifaceted personality, the poet, advocate, artist, music director, translator, and above all, a gem of a person who has dedicated his life for humanitarian causes, Sri Vanavil K. Ravi, in whose honor this program is organized. Keynote speaker of the day, Dr. Sanal Raj, professor and head, PG Department of English, Sahridaya College of Advanced Studies, Kodakara. Dr. Rajaram, retired professor, director of Tamil Cultural Center, Palakkad. Paper presenters, Mr. P.T. Dinesh, Ms. Athira Manoharan, Dr. Kavita, Ms. Sri Lakshmi, Dr. Hemalata, dear colleagues, students, well-wishers, and participants of this webinar. We are very privileged to have an eminent poet, a leading advocate, an artist, a music director, a translator, and above all, a versatile genius amidst us for this program. Indeed, the whole program is organized to honor this luminary. He is perhaps a personality who requires no introduction to any person in India. Vanavil K. Ravi is a practicing lawyer at the Madras High Court. I happen to read in one of the introductions that Sri Vanavil K. Ravi is an advocate by profession and a poet by passion. He started writing poems in his childhood and has written hundreds of poems in both Tamil and English. His poems exhibit a blend of the traditional and the modern. He is an ardent admirer of the great revolutionary Tamil poet Subramanya Bharati and has published several significant and path-breaking essays and books on the works of Bharati, which were well received and appreciated by Tamil scholars. His monumental epics, Ballad of the Warrior Girl Kuili and Prahlad, won much critical acclaim. His books, Namakku Thoril Kavithai and Minna Chuvai, were prescribed as textbooks in 4 South Indian universities. He is a great composer and singer in Tamil and English and has released several albums. His latest album in English, The Bard of Love, contains 16 songs written, composed, and sung by him. His album, Devaganamridam, contains 10 devotional songs in Tamil, sung by the veteran singer S.P. Balasubramaniam. All his songs can be accessed on the YouTube. Sri Vanavil Ravi founded the literary society named Vanavil Cultural Center in 1994. Since then, the society has been celebrating the birthday of the Tamil poet Subramanya Bharati. The cultural fiesta used to last for 3 to 4 days. Political and social leaders from all walks of life attend the Jati Pallakku festival conducted on December 11th, commemorating the birthday of the great poet Bharati by the Vanavil Cultural Center. It was a scholar, Sri B.S. Raghavan IAS, who happened to first spot the talents of Sri Vanavil K. Ravi. Professor Dr. Rajaram, the retired professor of Tamil, Department of Tamil Department at the Victoria College, Palakkad, who is also the director of Tamil Cultural Research Center, Palakkad, started popularizing the works of Sri Vanavil K. Ravi with a group of friends and well-wishers. Vimla College is hosting the 98th seminar in this series. In the concluding session of an international conference held on 24th January 2021, attended by several vice chancellors and academicians, it was unanimously decided that Sri Vanavil Ravi be recommended for literary awards like the Sahitya Academy Prize, Jnanpith Award, and even the Nobel Prize in Literature. Sri Vanavil Ravi is a proud recipient of several awards, including the prestigious Kumaranashan Award and Vallathol Award. To the new generation youngsters, Vanavil Ravi is an active social media influencer under the name Ravi Kalyanaraman. His wife, Shobhana Ravi, was a newsreader for more than 30 years, and he is a father of 2 daughters and the proud grandfather of 3 grandchildren. His published works in law and literature include Justice versus Natural Justice, Verses of Wisdom, Law, Logic and Liberty, Namakku Thozhil Kavithai, Poetry is My Calling, Unnodu Naan, With You I Am, Minnachuvai, The Taste of Lightning, Sor Kalukal Erikol, Come Abroad My Words, Valluvarin Vailil, At the Threshold of Thiruvalluvar, The History of 20th Century Physics, Katruvanga Ponniyan, A Stroll with the Wind, Enna Thavam Saidam, Oh What Penance, A Spark, A Petal, a collection of poems in English, Sonnadum Sollathadum, The Told and the Untold, Aida Sudar Etruvan, I Shall Light the Undying Flame, Makkal Padum Pata, Songs That People Sing, The Sound of Silence, a collection of poems in English, Seemathe Vaitha Niralgal, Kuili, The Ballad of Warrior Girl, and the last one, Prahlad, an epic in English. Vimla College is highly honored to have this eminent writer and distinguished lawyer, Sri Vanavil K. Ravi, for our program today. And with great pride and happiness, I extend the warmest love and the most cordial welcome to the chief guest on behalf of all those who are attending this webinar. Dr. Rajaram, retired professor of Tamil from Victoria College, is a brain behind this program. He has more than 30 years of teaching experience at government colleges in Chittor and Palakkad. In addition to this, he has worked at several colleges in Madras and Vellore. He was a research guide under the Calicut University and is currently a research guide at Kanchipuram Deemed University. He has attended several seminars and has more than 1,000 paper presentations and numerous publications to his credit. He is also a moderator for various debates and an adjudicator for various research theses. He is a coordinator for the Tamil Cultural Center Palakkad, which has its headquarters in Tamil Nadu. The center promotes Tamil culture, and Dr. Rajaram is endlessly running around organizing seminars and collaborating with different institutions, forgetting his age. I should appreciate the charisma and enthusiasm of Dr. Rajaram, which made this program possible in our college. With lots of love and respect, on behalf of the entire Vimla fraternity, I extend the warmest welcome to Dr. Rajaram. Dr. Sanal Raj, currently Professor and Head of PG Department of English, Sahridaya College of Advanced Studies, Kottagara, retired from St. Thomas Autonomous College a couple of years ago. Professor Sanal Raj is closely associated with Vimla College as an external examiner, and he is also my personal friend. Professor Sanal Raj took his PhD in Black Mountain Poets. He secured the Fulbright Doctoral and Professional Research Fellowship USA during the period 2006-07. He has also won the Best Research Faculty Award in 2020. He has undertaken UGC major research projects and was also a research guide under the Calicut University. He was the editor of Conspectus, the annual journal of Research and PG Department of English, St. Thomas College. He has membership in several academic and professional bodies and is also a member of MLA, Modern Languages Association. He is a qualified BEC, OET, and IELTS trainer for Cambridge. He is also an adjudicator for PhD thesis in several universities and is a research guide at the University of Calicut. He has worked as adjunct professor at the University of Connecticut, USA, and has taught in educational institutions in the Sultanate of Oman. He has published several papers in prestigious journals and has coordinated various national and international seminars. With lot of love and gratitude, on behalf of all present for this seminar, I extend a very warm and cordial welcome to Sanal sir.
Thank you, Nisha.
Our principal, Dr. Sister Beena Jose, requires no introduction to the Vimala community. She is an excellent academician and a wonderful administrator. She pursues her academic passion by attending conferences and by presenting and publishing papers at the national and international seminars. She is also a research guide despite her hectic schedule as a principal of an autonomous institution. She is a support for all the academic endeavors of the college, and I have no words to thank Sister for the encouragement she gives us for conducting such meaningful academic programs. With lots of love and respect, I cordially invite our dear principal to this function. A special word of thanks and a very warm welcome to all present for this seminar and to the paper presenters, Mr. P.T. Dinesh, Ms. Adira Manoharan, Dr. Kavita, Ms. Sri Lakshmi, and Dr. Hemalata. My dear colleagues, students, and all the participants who have joined from various parts of the country for this webinar, a very hearty welcome to each one of you. Once again, a very warm welcome and a cordial welcome to each one of you attending this seminar. Thank you and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your warm words of welcome. Now, let me take this opportunity to invite the principal of Vimala College, Dr. Sister Beena Jose, for the presidential address.
Respected dignitaries, Sri Vanavil K. Ravi, great scholar and writer.
Ma'am, once again, you are on mute.
Okay. Respected dignitaries, Sri Vanavil K. Ravi, a great scholar and writer, Professor Dr. Sanil Raj, Professor and Head, PG Department of English, Sahardaya College of Advanced Studies, Kodagara, Thrissur, Professor Dr. K. Rajaram, Director of Tamil Cultural Research Center, Palakkad, Dr. Nisha Francis Alapat, Head of the Postgraduate and Research Department of English, Vimala College, participants from various institutions, presenters of research papers, dear colleagues and my dear students. Today, the Postgraduate and Research Department of English, Vimala College, and the Tamil Cultural Research Center, Palakkad, jointly organize a one-day webinar on the bilingual poet, Sri Vanavil K. Ravi. As we know, Vanavil K. Ravi is a poet and a practicing lawyer in the Madras High Court. Sri Vanavil K. Ravi's poems in English and in Tamil cannot be classified either as traditional or as modern, but they exhibit a blend of both. And today's webinar includes paper presentation from law and literature. I hope that this webinar provides a platform in bringing together the finest writers, artists, and scholars from all over India. I'm sure that this webinar will help the participants to revive the spirit of reading, learning, and writing. I take this opportunity to express my deep sense of appreciation to the head of the department, Dr. Nisha Francis Alapat, faculty and students of the Department of English, Vimala College, and the director and faculty members of Tamil Cultural Research Center, Palakkad, for organizing such a wonderful webinar. I'm sure that this webinar will be beneficial to all of us, and I wish all the success to this one-day webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, sister, for the enduring words. Let us move on to the inaugural ceremony of the day. I invite the head of the Department of English of Sahridaya College of Advanced Studies, Thrissur, Professor Dr. Sanil Rajke, for the inaugural address. Over to you, sir.
Good morning. Am I audible, Dr. Nisha?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So good morning and welcome to the National Seminar on the Poetry Contributions of Sri Vanavil K. Ravi, jointly organized by Vimla College, Thrissur and Tamil Cultural Center, Palakkad. And I'm so privileged to deliver the inaugural address at this auspicious session. Well, this is, as we all know, we are looking at the poetic contributions of the very talented writer, Sri Vanavil Ravi. And I got introduced to him recently. I've just heard of such a writer, but only after I was invited for this inaugural address, I went through his books very seriously. I know it is so amazing. He's such a very talented writer. He's so great in his writings. He has that ease, and his words straight away come from his heart. It is very straightforward. It has the rhythm. It is the music. And what are the themes of his writings? I don't know. Maybe from very simple topics to very serious things he can write. Actually, I was reminded of the very famous poet Charles Olson. My research was on Charles Olson. Charles Olson is an American poet, and he was a very prolific writer. And he was not very particular in publishing his things and all. And when I was in the States doing my research, I was so dumbstricken to see the kind of writings he has. Many of his writings are still unpublished. There are a lot of manuscripts, typescripts, and there are microfilms which need much study. I think we can relate our writer, Sri Vanavil Ravi, to Charles Olson. He's such a towering personality, and his reputation is yet to come to the limelight. And I think he deserves a place along the mainstream writers like T.S. Eliot, or even, say, I could find parallels between our writer and Cardinal Newman or Rabindranath Tagore, even Sir Philip Sidney, Dante, Shelley, Byron, okay, many, I don't know. See, and again, he's not very particular to stick on to some particular style or theme or anything. His themes or like his poems vary from one to the other. He can write poems on any topic. So as part of this inaugural address, I'm not just going to all his writings because the time is very limited. So I would like to introduce to you some of his poems. But before I enter into my address now, I would just like to say that I know Shobana Ravi from the very beginning, because during my childhood days, especially when I was a student, and when we never had access to the TV channels right now, Doordarshan was the sole option. And I used to listen to Tamil news. And Shobana Ravi impressed me so much with her mesmerizing voice. And now it is so, I'm so glad that our writer is husband to such a talented personality, and this is a wonderful family. And I think that our writer is not after fame, because no, when I look at his collections, like they include the poems that he has written somewhat earlier and also the present poems. So he has written a lot of pains to collect all these poems and to publish them. I think he has more number of unpublished poems than his publications. Maybe we can listen to him later. Okay, so I would just like to go through some of his poems. And also, like the very outset, I also want to extend my gratitude to Vimla College and Tamil Cultural Center for assigning me this duty of this inaugural address. And also, it is a great privilege on my part to talk to our great writer, Sri Vanavil Ravi. Okay, so his reputation is yet to be known to the rest of the world, and the seminars like this, deliberations like this, definitely will act as a kind of catalyst to make his fame known to the academic circle. Okay, so I'll begin my session right now. So as I told you, I'll be going through some of his poems because most of our audience belong to the student community. So they should have a feel of our writer. Okay, so I would like to share the screen. And these are just some poems, like some snippets from his poems. Okay, so sir, can I share the screen? And it says host disabled participant screen sharing.
Solai, please help him. Can you?
Yeah, I need someone to
Solai?
support me. Raja sir or yeah, Solai.
Solai is the doing the technical thing. He must be able to help you. Solai,
if I just read the poems now, maybe because this is online now, people won't get a feel of your poems.
Okay, you should share it now, right?
Yeah.
I have provided the link to share.
Okay, sir. So it's visible now, no?
Just a second, sir. It is getting shared.
Not yet. Started screen sharing, it shows. Yeah.
Now we can present it.
Yes.
Okay. So first of all, a very warm welcome to all of you. Okay. Told you this is a national seminar on Sri Vanavil Ravi. I managed to get this photo from his FB page. Okay, he looks very smart and cute. Okay, this is the first poem that I would like to introduce. See, I went through some of his books. Of course, I couldn't go through many of his books. Two books I have selected for this study is, the first collection is Aspart, a Poet, and the next one is The Sound of Silence. Of course, he has made his impression felt in the area of justice, like he has written books on law. And I think he's more known as a lawyer in his circle than as a friend. So this is his passion. So as Dr. Nisha said, he's passionate towards poetry. And look at that. Look at the first poem. It is entitled Just a Few Shells. So in this poem, no, so that's I told you about Cardinal Newman. Maybe you might have heard of Cardinal Newman's, that very famous poem, Lead Kindly Late. Okay, so like he's asking, Newman is asking God Almighty to provide him that kind of comfort or reassurance when people are getting lost. So here, this man, our writer, is an ardent worshipper of God, and he's bowing down in front of the Almighty to equip him with the bare minimum for his sustenance in this world. Look at the beautiful line. I'm not asking for anything more, not pearls, but just a few shells. In the sense, I can say that he is not avaricious. So he knows that in the poem, he says that he knows that God has that treasure chest, has an ample reserve. But his message is very clear. Oh God, endow me with the strength, so the fire in his words and light a lamp. So like the fire in his heart can light a lamp in every heart. Like Shelley. See, Shelley in his poem, To the Skylark, is asking the skylark to offer him half of its gladness. Maybe those who know Shelley, those who study Shelley will remember these lines. Teach me half the gladness that thy brains must know. Such harmonious madness from my lips would flow. The world would listen then as I am listening now. So Shelley is listening to the bird, and Shelley requests the bird to grant him the secret behind his happiness, or the half the secret. Similarly, our poet is asking God, I'm not asking for anything more. He doesn't want any pearls or like huge treasures or anything, but a few shells. So this is his humble request. Okay, so like Newman's poem fills with him with some renewed hope. And here also, with his devotion to God, he thinks that, or our author believes that he can compose very supreme poems. So that is the first poem I would like to introduce. The next poem is He Failed to Learn. In this, this is a very interesting poem. So in this poem, through this poem, our author, Sri Vanavil Ravi, pays glorious tribute to the father of the nation. Okay, we all know father of the nation is Mahatma Gandhi. And again, like he's criticizing the human nature or human tendency in general. So in the sense, no, we fail to learn lessons. Like we are exposed to a lot of situations, but at the very same time, like we don't learn lessons from all our experiences. For example, he couldn't agree with the kind of killing and bloodshed that is going on in and around the world. And he gives the very possible answer. He says that here, wars are not solutions. His declaration is very bold, and he draws an example from great literature. So these are his examples. So look at that. How many times should Shelley speak of the pompous Ozymandias? How many Caesars, Alexanders fill up the pages of history? So Shelley's Ozymandias, once again, we know, no, like Ozymandias was a great emperor and all. Right now, his fame is no more. He's nowhere in this earth. So what about Julius Caesar, all the Caesars? What about Alexander the Great, who conquered the whole world? So, of course, he lives in our hearts, but other than that, what is the meaning in all the bloodshed and all? Fill up the pages of history. So history tells us that there was much bloodshed and killing and murder and everything that went on in this world. But could they solve the solutions of humanity, human beings? So he stands for peace. Okay, he stands to put an end to war. And he's asking the question, he just tells us that, and he's asking the question, how many times should Shelley speak? So people were killing themselves, singing in bloodbaths. Okay, unfortunately, and finally it comes like this. Look at this. We killed him with a bullet. So there was a lone voice which stood for peace. And he had his satyagraha. He had all his fasting and all for the unity of Hindus and Muslims and all. But what did we do to him? We just killed him we killed him once with a bullet. When he walked to pray with our greed and unbridled violence, we kill him every day. So I just like now I think that he's talking about our father of the nation, but it is not very clear. But like the meaning is there. We killed him once with a bullet when he walked to pray. So I'm reminded of Hamlet. No, like you all know the story of Hamlet. Hamlet sees Claudius, his uncle, the villain, praying. So this man is after taking revenge upon this murderer. And when he sees Claudius praying, he loses this opportunity to kill him, because he presumes that if he straight away kills Claudius right now, his soul will go to heaven. So like he avoids that opportunity. Whereas what did we do to our Mahatma? We killed him once with a bullet when he walked to pray. So it is not just one person. The fingers are raised against all we people. With our greed and unbridled violence, we kill him. So all our inhuman actions, all of our acts of violence and killing and bloodshed and all, okay, like denote that we are killing Mahatma Gandhi each and every day. So that is the message of this poem. We fail to learn. The next poem is My Master. Again, it's a very beautiful poem. He doesn't have just one master, he has masters. So even though the title is singular, he has a lot of masters. So they go beyond all kind of restrictions, all boundaries and all. And he finds his great masters in Buddha, then Socrates, Jesus, Ramalinga Vallalar, Shirdi Sai Baba. Okay, so these are his masters that he presents in this poem. And for our Vanavil Ravi, all these great personalities are one and the same. So this is the first description. So I'm not going to the whole poem. I'll introduce to just two masters. So this is Buddha. Okay, he says, you were seated beneath an old tree, a few sitting around you, where silence was deafening, piercing my heart and making a dent larger than the one on your ear lobes. Did you hear me? Okay, so actually this is included in the collection as Spark a Petrel, but I personally think that this should have been included in the other collection, The Sound of Silence, because look at that silence. Your silence was deafening. Okay, for our point now, there isn't any compromise on the might and resilience of Buddha. Buddha's silence was so powerful, and that silence could straight away pierce his heart. And he says that it could make even a dent in his heart. That is, the preachings of Buddha could create a great impact in the mind of our poet. Okay, so this is Buddha. Then comes the great Socrates. This is from the very same poem, My Master. So Socrates, he addresses Socrates. Again, you were on the street, raising your voice with a spate of questions, flowing like your beard. None had the answer. Do you have at least? So he's asking we people, like Socrates, the great philosopher, he had a lot of questions. These questions were capable of shaking the thrones of many mighty emperors. Okay, like we can find Socrates not in palaces or some place like that. You can find him in the streets and you cannot straight away approach him because the problem is he has a lot of questions and most of his questions went unanswered. Okay, so now the question is to the readers. None had the answer. So the people whom he found in the streets couldn't answer his questions. So now the question is towards us. Did you have at least? So can we answer the pertinent questions of Socrates? So similarly, then he introduces Jesus Christ. Okay, so the multitudes were awed by his mighty presence and all. So it goes on like that. That from My Master. Next form is Vote for the Nation. So like this is not his poem. This is Let My Country Awake by Rabindranath Tagore. So before going straight away into the poem Vote for the Nation, I thought of telling something from the poem by Rabindranath Tagore, because this is the kind of country, this is the kind of world that Rabindranath Tagore envisaged. Okay, so this is the country of his vision. Okay, I think you all might have studied this poem, especially the students and all. So he is looking forward to a nation, a country where mind can move without fear, where you can hold your head high, where the knowledge doesn't have any boundaries, where the world is not fragmentary, it is not broken, where the words come from the depth of the truth, where there is tireless striving for the stretches it sounds okay, where the clear stream of reason is not at all hindered. And finally, he says that where the mind is led forward by thee into ever-widening thought and action, into that heaven of freedom. So like no, he envisions a country, a nation, which is a heaven of freedom. Okay, so now the question is whether we have that heaven of freedom. Okay, so this is the question raised against the readers. So this is the question of our author, Sri Vanavil Ravi. Okay, so now the title is very interesting, Vote for the Nation. Of course, this is a democratic setup. We all believe in democracy. We have the right to choose our leaders and all. But what is the criterion? In what manner do you choose our leaders? And also, like he gives us the answer also. So, look at this poem. When you are forced to struggle for even your daily bread, how will you raise your voice against the evil that is widespread? So this is a place, this is a country where you have to struggle hard to meet both ends and where you have to fight for a living. Okay, so like now you are destitute, you are downtrodden, and how can you raise your voice? So that is the question. Now, he gives us the words of consolation. He says that we people are not altogether lost. So he says that we are the kings of the nation. How can we be the kings of the nation? Because we are the deciding factors. We decide who our rulers are supposed to be. We are the kings of the nation, proclaimed the great poet. Okay, once again, the great poet is Subramanya Bharati. So Dr. Nisha gave us some introduction about Bharati, our author's association with Subramanya Bharati and his trust and all. So Subramanya Bharati is well known in Kerala also. During my childhood days, I used to listen to his poems in radio. So I still remember that poem, Odi Vilayadu Papa, that was taught through All India Radio. Okay, so this is the great poet, and our author has taken a greater mission of supporting the literary talents through this organization. Okay, so I think Dr. Rajaram will give us the details of Subramanya Bharati and the works on the writings of Subramanya Bharati. Okay, so the great poet Subramanya Bharati proclaimed that we are the kings of this nation. So when someone tries to belittle you, never be quiet. So don't be quiet. Why do you impose yourself to all kinds of this injustice and all? You have the right because we live in a democratic setup. And now, so what is the solution? What is the alternative? So he gives us the answer. The ballot day is not far away. So this is the opportunity. This is a chance for us to choose the right person. The ballot day is not far away. Show your determination. Don't sell your vote and become a slave. Okay, so he is maybe kind of nepotism and all. He is raising his fingers against. So it is your right to vote and don't sell your vote and become a slave, but vote for the nation. Vote against all hooligans or against all miscreants. You don't need leaders now. Please select your humble servants. See, like do we see servants in the streets and all? When ministers and all pass on the way, no, you have to give them the way. Do they smile at you? And when you go to them for something, no, so like maybe like what is the kind of treatment that you are getting? Anyway, this is all politics. I'm not going much into such things. But again, look at this man. He says that don't vote for the hooligans. So his message is very clear. So in a democratic setup, he should choose people who are pretty right, so who can lead the nation, who can hold the great tradition of this country. And the next poem is a sequel to this present poem. Okay, so this poem is we vote for the nation, and unfortunately we chose the wrong person. And what did they do to us? Look at the title. We voted, they looted. I think our Vanavil Ravi doesn't have or lacks strong political affiliations. In that case, no, he couldn't write like this, no, because how can you write a poem like we voted, they looted? Actually, this poem is an attempt to expose the vanities of the present time leaders. It is a kind of wake-up call to all of us to raise from our slumber. Okay, so from the very outset, he begins with a lot of questions. Like Socrates, he begins with a lot of rhetorical questions. Whom are they whom we call the leaders, whom we admire, adore, and worship? Even have they descended from heaven? So who are these leaders? Or have they straight away come from heaven? So this is the question. Then now he says that they are there only because we voted for them. We are here still because we voted for them. So how could they become the leaders? Because we were the people who have chosen them. We voted, and voted. They looted, and looted. So such powerful voice, no? Like this is, and what is the solution? Remember, our poet has the solutions too, and this is from the very same poem. We voted, they looted. So let us wake up now. So his voice doesn't end there. So some people who on the stage, will raise a lot of questions and they don't answer. But our author says, let us wake up now, assert ourselves, ask them to do their job, stand up boldly, alone, without getting lost in a mob. If we remain silent, they would continue to rob. So he's a social reformer, mainly, not just a writer. He is not just writing about he's not just giving us a romantic version of this world, but at the very same time, he's addressing the issues, the social issues that affect the common people. Okay, so finally, I think I don't have much time. I'm on the last poem that I've selected. Again, if you ask me what is the criterion for this selection, I don't know. I found these poems very impressive. Most of his poems are very impressive, and even a day, even if I talk on a day, it won't end. Okay, anyway, so I'm concluding with this poem. The sky is not that blue. Okay, again, so he's opening up another world in front of us. So he is coming to the domestic world, and he asks a very pertinent question. And the question is, in reality, who is your lover? Okay, so he's an ardent worshipper of love. He has written beautiful, he has composed beautiful love poems. I know, look, you can look through them. So this poem, he is asking the question, who is your lover? Once again, not the very great, what can I say, what's her name? Cleopatra or something. He says, the one you find in a domestic environment itself. So who is a lover? The one who is always your partner. Okay, so the carrier of all your whims and fancies and all. Okay, maybe she is incapable of doing something extraordinary, but what can she do to you? Look at these lines. Live with her, sleep with her, the one who doesn't admire you. Okay, so you will always listen to a lot of complaints and all. the one who doesn't adore you, but the one who simply loves you. Okay, so what a beautiful interpretation. It is very different from Edmund Spenser's The Sovereign Beauty, which I admire, or Sir Philip Sidney's The Nymph of the Garden, where all beauties be, or Lord Byron's She Walks in Beauty, or even Maya Angelou's Phenomenal Woman. She's the very ordinary woman whom you found in your household, the one who simply loves you. She loves you despite all her flaws. She knows you are too subject to loss, the invariable laws of nature. You belch and snore, sneeze and cough. You are just a mortal creature. So she accepts the fact that you are a very ordinary person. She, again, the last part is very interesting. She knows for sure that death would separate her from you or you from her. Okay, time will come. You know how to, get separated from your partner, like you have to yield to, you have to succumb to time. Okay, time will come when all these things will go. She hopes not again to reunite. Look at that. If you ask some husband or wife, so in your next birth also, you want to be the very same person, or what will your wife do? What will her partner say? She hopes not again to reunite in heaven, earth, or wherever. So that is so maybe he's exposing the hearts of the people. So for it is just show off. If you say that you are so much attached to so and so, it is not a fact. It's a coincidence that you are with someone, and of course you have very nice time. But these are the real words of that woman. She hopes not again to reunite in heaven, earth, or wherever. Okay. It's time. He or she doesn't matter. Every line you can alter. Still, it would be true. Love is not a dream child. His expectations are in wild. He says that the sky is not that blue. Okay, so don't be caught in the fancies and whims of this world. Accept the reality. Accept the realities of this life. He says that the sky is not that blue. Okay, so these are some of the poems that I found very interesting as far as our author is concerned. In addition, he has written a lot of beautiful poems, and like that Strawberry Girl, where he talks about his love towards his grandchild, and then very interesting poem, Keep the Spark Alive, then More Time for You, then On Your Birthday, Einstein, How Can I Remember You? So, and this Don't Be Sad, it's a very interesting poem, and he says that please don't be sad. World is neither good or bad, so don't be sad. It goes like that. Then he says that I'm not your grandma to teach you all the stories and all. So anyway, sir, I found going through your writings very interesting. So finally, I want to say that his writings, all the poems of our Vanavil Ravi are self-explanatory. We need to catch the pulse and rhythms of all the poems, though they vary. Actually, these are the spontaneous outflow of his soul. Okay, his soul is rich with poetic imagination. Does he stick on to one particular theme? Not at all. Okay, so he is a multifaceted genius. So keep writing. It is so interesting to go through your books and all. Of course, he deserves admiration, and also not only in Tamil Nadu, the universities in Kerala and the rest of the Indian states should include his writings, like along with Tamil writers like Parthasarathi or Ramanujan and all. Or even he deserves a place like Kakiwala, and even our with all the mainstream Tamil writers, he deserves a position. Along with that, there should be much translation of his Tamil poems, and some of the books collections that Dr. Nisha introduced appear to be very interesting. Okay, so I wish you all the best. Once again, I extend my gratitude to Vimala College and Tamil Cultural Center for assigning me this duty of the inaugural address. Okay, this is a formal occasion, and I formally inaugurate this session. So all the participants have a wonderful time. Okay, thank you, sirs.
Well done, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for your enlightening words and an informative presentation. It was indeed interesting too. I'm extremely happy to invite Professor Dr. K.A. Rajaram, the director of the Tamil Cultural Center, Palakkad, to give a detailed introduction on the renowned poet. Over to you, sir.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah. Respected principal, Dr. Sister Veena Jose, He gave an effective presidential address. Respected Professor Dr. Sanal Raj, Professor and Head, PG Department of English, Secretary of College of Advanced Studies, Trichur, who delivered an exhaustive and thought-provoking inaugural address. And Dr. Nisha Francis Alapet, HOD of English, Vimla College, who gave a very warm welcome address. My good friend, Mr. Vanavil K. Ravi, the bilingual poet, an actor, a dramatist, composer, and a popular advocate, and a good critic. And also Mr. Dinesh, my good friend, advocate, Ernakulam, is a leading advocate, Ernakulam. He will speak on the law, logic, and liberty, a critical analysis, and then Miss Adira Manoharan, Assistant Professor, Bharata Mata College, Trikakara, Ernakulam, romantic elements in the poetry of Vanavil K. Ravi, and Dr. Kavita, Head and Assistant Professor, Department of English, Ratnam College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore, who will speak on rhythm of words in Vanavil K. Ravi's poems. Miss Sri Lakshmi P, Gush Faculty, Department of English, Bharata Mata College, Trikakara, who will speak on Philip Larkin's poems and Vanavil K. Ravi's poems through the lens of existentialism. A wonderful topic. An unsung tale of supreme sacrifice is the paper to be presented by Dr. Hemanada, my good friend, HOD and Assistant Professor of Department of English, VLP Janayammal College, Arts and Science, Coimbatore, and the members of the staff of the PG Department of English, Vimala College, the esteemed institution, distinguished institution, and the students of the department, the members of other faculties, and all well-wishers and good students, Tamil lovers, English lovers, poetry lovers, prose lovers. Dr. Geeta, retired as principal of the Kerala Government Service, now settled down in Chennai, and my good friends. Let me give a very succinct, short introduction, because Dr. Sanal Raj has made an exhaustive speech, very nice speech. Quite a long time since I heard such a nice speech. So I would like to say something about Vanavil Ravi. Vanavil Ravi, as Dr. Nisha told and as Dr. Sanal Raj told, is a leading advocate, a composer, and a dramatist, and a critic, and he is a good organizer. He has founded Vanavil Cultural Center in the year 1994. Every year he conducts Bharati Festival in a fitting manner. So many dignitaries have participated. People like Honorable Abdul Kalam, Yama Subbulakshmi, and so many people have participated. And 2 years back, he has conducted the 10-day Vanavil Festival, 2020. He has conducted a 10-day Vanavil Festival, presided over by Honorable Prime Minister of India, Dr. Narendra Modi, and the valedictory address for the program was delivered by Mrs. Nirmala Sitharaman, Honorable Finance Minister of India. On 24th January 2021, international conference on his works was conducted and was attended by many professors of Tamil and English, some distinguished vice chancellors, and also from other states and other countries. In the concluding session of the conference, resolution was passed, unanimously passed, appealing that Vanavil Ravi be awarded the highest prize for literature, including Nobel Prize. A copy of the resolution is given in one of his books, styled Koili. Now I would like to say something about his works. First of all, I would like to say something about the Manikya Vasagar's verses of wisdom. That is a very fine piece. Manikya Vasagar, the Saivite saint who authored Tiruvasagam, and the crux, the basic idea, isn't it? The basic concepts of sensation and perception of Immanuel Kant of transcendental Immanuel Kant's transcendental method was used. Immanuel Kant's transcendental method of sensation perception was used. And we are all, the public is very much indebted to Ravi for this spiritual and intuitive venture. This approach is scientific, but the point of view is philosophical. There is, this particular book has got a prologue, an invocation first, and then a foreword by his professor. He studied in Vivekananda College, Madras, a great institution, Vivekananda College, and his professor was Professor Dr. T.N. Ganapati, who has given the foreword. He studied for his BA and MA and also MPhil, all under his able guidance. And there is a prologue and epilogue in this book, a glossary, bibliography, an exhaustive bibliography, index, and there are some few chapters, some 10 chapters. This is Monica Vasagar's Verses of Wisdom. As I told you earlier, the public is indebted to Mr. Ravi for the spiritual and intuitive venture. The presentation of ideas using such good terms without much philosophical jargon is simple, in simple but effective English is really scholarly. The presentation is simply in simple English, effective English is scholarly. That is something about Verses of Wisdom, a biocosmic view, spiritual intuitive venture. The other one, second one, I would like to say something about Kuyili, a wonderful ballad, more than a ballad, the ballad of the warrior girl, Kuyili. And he has written a letter to everyone, to important people, that I offer this as my humble contribution to all the champions of freedom at a time when India, the largest democracy in the world, is celebrating its 75th year of independence. Asadi ke Amit Magotso. I want this book to reach everyone who would really evince interest in the form and content. I am sure that you are one among them. That is what it is addressed. The ballad of the warrior girl Kuyili. I would like to say something about this Kuyili, epitome of supreme sacrifice. It has nearly 136 verses, and the contents about 15 cantos, an interlude, a prologue and interlude, first impressions, 2 forwards, 1 forward by B.S. Raghavan, the nonagenarian living in Chennai, Chief Secretary of 3 states, and Chancellor of Jharkhand University, now living in Chennai. He is 96 years old. He is our mentor, my mentor, and also Mr. Ravi's mentor. He has given a beautiful and thought-provoking forward. Apart from this, my friend Dr. Kadambari, retired professor of English, postgraduate department of English, Yatiraj College, Chennai, who has given another forward. Those 2 forwards speak volumes of Ravi's caliber, and it is as some leading personality has told in his first impression, it's more than a ballad. And Sivasankari, the famous Tamil writer, has said this maybe Kuyili might be the first suicide bomber in the history of mankind. Suicide bomber in the history of mankind. The first suicide bomber. Yeah, I want everybody to go to this book. This ballad speaks of the metamorphosis of Kuyili. And Ravi's friend, and he is also my friend, Dr. Vave Subramaniam, V.V. Subramaniam, principal of Vivekananda College, former principal of Vivekananda College, who states that poet communicates even before we understand the real word. That is this impression. The real thing is that the Kuyili and also the other poems penned by Mr. Ravi, he is a very good communicator of ideas. Literature should communicate the experience. That is the experience communicated should be from one mind to another. Whatever else literature may be, communication must be. No communication, no literature. That is the saying by the critic Lazarus Abercrombie. Whatever else literature may be, communication it must be. No communication, no literature. The experience itself should be transplanted from the mind of the author to the mind of the reader. That is communication. The other thing and about Query is that the content and form, that is flesh and blood, that is the form and content there should be a conformity, the form and content, and should actually form like flesh and blood. That is what Victor Hugo has told some time back. And then Isekavi Ramanan, the famous orator, is called Isekavi. He composes music and all that. And the inspiration is as found in the heart and a torch in his hand. That is what he has to. Inspiration. That is, a poetry should have inspire others, should have inspiration. Tamil we called Agatrarichi. The inspiration the poet makes others to inspire.
You're not audible, sir.
Not audible. No audible? Audible.
Yes, audible.
You are audible.
Audible. Okay. And the Query, I would like to say something about Query. A quote. The 15th canto is very important. In the Query, I like the 15th canto. Am I audible? Hello?
You're audible.
Yes, sir,
to
you're
us.
audible, sir.
You're
Okay.
audible.
Yeah. 127th stanza. A dark-skinned girl was seen by all, running towards the warehouse. She poured oil hurriedly on her sari and her blouse, lit herself at once and started running like a fireball. The gods were shocked and stunned. Motionless stood all. Immediately, the Udayal army gunned down the god. Udayal army, the army of Velinachiyar, the queen of Kuili. So, victory to Kali, victory to Durga, victory to Shivaganga, freedom to all, freedom to all, freedom to one and all. By the grace of God, we have broken the British wall, shouted the women and echoed the sky. Everything happened in the wink of an eye. What the other one, in continuation, the British army was routed by Velinachiyar, the queen of Shivaganga. The Udayal regiment shouted, Udayal regiment, Kuili's regiment. Kuili is a Durga, the patron saint of Shivaganga. Velinachiyar mounted the horse, raised her sword, and saluted. Dripping from it was the blood of Bounger, who had beheaded, she had beheaded the Bounger of that commander-in-chief of the British army. Udayal blessed her from heaven, also the great British of heaven. That is the Kuili, the ballad is more than a ballad. I would like to state that this book deserves to be prescribed as a textbook for PG students of English of universities and autonomous colleges. The other one, third one, regarding law. Law, he has written 2 books on law, Justice versus Natural Justice, and the foreword was given by Justice K.S. Bhaktavasalam, a former judge of Karnataka High Court. And Justice versus Natural Law is the part of administrative law. And the other one is Law, Logic and Liberty, about which my friend Mr. Dinesh is going to give a speech, present a paper. The Law, Logic and Liberty, appreciated very well by Justice V.R. Krishnaiyer. He says, a fine book is a cherished asset. A fine book is a cherished asset. Ravi's book falls within this category, to be treasured because of the valuable thoughts he has incorporated. The other one, they have dedicated the book to late Mr. R.M. Seshadri, ICS, and it contains 6 chapters. No law is immortal. That is the last chapter. And like that, law, logic and liberty goes like that. And the poetry, regarding the poetical works, I would like to speak. That is on a spark, a petal. That is the spark, a petal. Is the 15th Psalm. Is all a random collection, mostly from the Facebook outpourings. And a spark, a petal, a teardrop, that is how a person should be. So the 15th chapter's name is the chapter's, the book's name, they say spark, petal. And the other one, the Sound of Silence. Sound of Silence is a very fine piece of work about which Dr. Sanal Raj has dealt in detail. The first stanza, the foreword was given by his professor, that is Vanavil Ravi's professor, Professor Dr. Anandan. Anandan has given a scintillating forward. He says that anthology has become a bouquet. It has become an amaranthus, worn like a laurel. And finally, he says that he quotes Archibald MacLeish, a poem should not mean but be. That is his conclusion. Dr. Anandan, professor and HOD of English, Vivekananda College, retired now, settled down in Chennai. He says, a poem should not mean and be. That is a quotation of Dr. Archibald MacLeish. And regarding the first stanza, am I asking for more, my Lord, more than what I deserve? I know your treasure. I know your treasure chest has an ample reserve. Give me strength to be true. Ravi is a ardent worshipper of truth. There's another verse, a song on truth in a spark a petal. Let the fire in my words spread and light a lamp in every heart. Should not I carry your message to everyone of every age? Oh, the ocean of grace, I pray, don't let me go astray. I am not asking for anything else, not pearls, but just few shells. So humble. He's a humanist. Ravi is a humanist. The first song, the other one is April Fool. Song number, verse number 89. The very good verse, actually, everything. It was written, just written 5 days before a state election. It was written 5 days before the state election. I will read out the poetry. It's very interesting. Cast your vote with a sense of pride. Cast your vote with a sense of pride. Not for cash. Don't be taken for a ride. In your hands, a powerful tool. Don't sell it away and become a fool. Don't be an April fool. Don't be an April fool. Be cool. He wants electorate to be cool. And don't be tempted by promises, false premise, or any feverish calls. Don't be communal, nation first. Your integrity must pass the test. Your integrity must pass the test. Don't be an April fool. Don't be an April fool. Be cool. Caste, religion, keep them aside. Stand united, never divide. Caste, religion, keep them aside. Stand united, never divide. Be always bold and assert. You are an Indian. Indian first. Don't be an April fool. Don't be an April fool. Be cool. It is a matter of self-respect. Don't lose it under any pretext. It is a matter of your self-respect. Don't lose it under any pretext. Carried away by way of tide. Think for yourself and decide. Don't be an April fool. Don't be an April fool. A fine verse penned by Mr. Vanavil Ravi. And he has written so many books in Tamil, about more than 10. All books have been prescribed in universities and autonomous colleges. And now recently he has written this Kuili, the ballad of a warrior girl. It's a wonderful ballad. The forwards, in the forwards given by Raghavan and Dr. Kadambari, you can go through it. They speak the truth, nothing but the truth. And Ravi is fond of truth. He is an ardent lover of Bharati. He eats Bharati, drinks Bharati, and dreams Bharati. Tamil, if you want to take Tamil, Bharatiya unnungal, parugungal, kanavu kaanungal. He dreams, he eats Bharati, drinks Bharati, and dreams Bharati. He's an ardent lover of Subramanya Bharati. So he follows the tenets. Bharati has written poetical works, prose works, and also free verse. That's not free verse, prose poetry. In Tamil it is called Vasana Kavita. So the Ravi, by following Subramanya Bharati, and he takes his ideas in all his daily routine. That is a good, as I told you earlier, is a good organizer and a good writer, both in Tamil and English. Bilingual poets are very rare nowadays. You can see a poet in English, you can come across a poet in Tamil and Malayalam, but a bilingual poet are very rare. Recently, he has been awarded the Bharati Vallathol Award, Tirur, Malayalam University. It was presented by the Vice Chancellor of the University, Dr. Anil Vallathol. And another award was given in Bharata Mata College, Ernakulam. The award was given by Honorable Chief Justice of Kerala High Court, Justice Mr. Mani Kumar. It is called Bharati Asan Award. The other person to share the award was none other than Rajiv Alungal. So like that introductory part, I am very thankful to you for giving me the opportunity to speak a few lines and introductory speech. And I'm really thankful to Dr. Nisha and the HOD of English and also the principal of this college, Sister Beena Rose, for providing all facilities for the conduct of this seminar. And I am really extremely grateful to Dr. Sanal Raj, who was formerly professor and head of English, the famous St. Thomas College, Trichur. Now, I say, used to tell everybody that a lawyer, a professor, a chartered accountant, and doctor have no retirement. So after retirement, he continues to be a teacher. There are some people after they retire, they cease to be a teacher, they cease to be a reader. But Sanal Raj is an exception. Professor and head, PG Department of English, Kardaya College of Advanced Studies. He gave, as I told you earlier, exhaustive and thought-provoking inaugural address. So such an inaugural address we want for the conduct of our functions. I am really grateful to Dr. Sanal Raj for spending his valuable time to be with us. And I wish this institution all the very best. I wish this institution conduct more and more seminars on famous and popular poets. And I request the paper presenters to forward their papers at the earliest, so that all these papers after scrutiny can be incorporated in the 3 volumes of Vanavil Ravi to be released sometime in February in Chennai. So this is a 98th seminar. 99 will be Shirdi College, Chennai, that is also online. 99th seminar, sorry, my 100th seminar is in Pondicherry. And some North Indian professors are attending 100th seminar in Pondicherry Central University, hosted by the Vice Chancellor, Dr. Gurmeet Singh. And 101st seminar, IITS, International Institute of Tamil Studies, Chennai, that is being organized by the Institute and Palakkad Tamil Cultural Center and Tamil Development Directorate, Chennai. I extend you, all of you, to come and grace the occasion with your esteemed presence in the 100th and 101st seminar. I will send you the invitation. I request Mr. Sanal Raj to be present there for the function, and Dr. Beena Jose and Dr. Nisha and all paper presenters. So let me thank you all for giving this wonderful opportunity to be with you. Jai Hind. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rajaram sir, for the illuminating introduction. Now let us move on to the paper presentations. I invite Mr. P.T. Dinesh, who is an advocate by profession, to present his paper titled Law, Logic and Liberty, a Critical Analysis. Over to you, sir.
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. Distinguished dignitaries, the principal of the college and of the department, my learned friend, Mr. Advocate K. Ravi, and the students and faculties of the college. I consider this as an opportunity or great privilege to interact with the students of Vimala College. I say to the students because though I am a practicing lawyer, I had been a visiting faculty of law to Cochin University, Government Law College, Ernakulam, and Institute of Chartered Accountants of India, and many institutes. And it is always a pleasure for me to address the students, the next generation of the nation. So it is, I hope that instead of a webinar, had it been a direct session, I must be more delighted. But anyway, being a webinar, the topic is, I'm going to take is regarding one of his book, as my friend, Dr. Rajaram introduced, it is a book called Law, Logic and Liberty. And the first thing, before coming to the book, I was wondering how a person, basically a person can be a lawyer can be a very good lawyer, Sometimes a very good lawyer can write books about law. That's true. Similarly, a person who is well-versed with English language or well-versed with the poetry and other things can write a poem. But here is a person who is a versatile personality, who venture into many fields simultaneously. Being a very good lawyer, apart from being a lawyer, he wrote 2 books about law. And apart from that, he wrote many books about literature. These things are very rare. So such a personality, I'm very happy to introduce one of his book to this August occasion. Now the topic law. Am I audible? I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
Yes.
topic law. The topic itself. This is a book which contains 6 topics. The first one is the beacon light. The second one, the rule against double jeopardy. Third one, jail versus bail. Fourth one, the power to tax. Fifth one, the power to punish. And sixth one, no law is immortal. 6 variety of areas of law. That is ranging from the constitutional law, traveling to the taxation law, then to the criminal law. And he almost dealt many important areas of law in a single book. The interesting aspect is that the topic selected by him is having always importance. When he says it is always important, some of the topic, when I come to that, I will say it is having very, very importance in the present day scenario in the state. You know that there is a constitutional, some time of war between 2 constitutional functionaries, some conflicts. I only say conflict. I don't want to comment about it, because in these areas, these type of articles, which gives light to the legal position based on the precedents by the Supreme Court of India. Now, coming to the topic law, logic, and see the topic selected by him. The word, the heading itself, law. What is a law? I know that I am addressing the PG students of English, not a postgraduate students of law. So I am aware that you are well versed with the English literature or the grammar, but not that much about the concept of law. So I wanted to say something about it, because the thing is that the time constraint is very high, because 6 topics I cannot finish with the 10 to 15 minutes. Number one. Number two, I am in the midst of my work. I am a lawyer practicing at High Court. Today is a working day. 10:15 the court started. My cases are listed, so I have to rush to there also. So within 10 to 15 minutes, I will just simply say that the law is basically Austin, one of the famous jurists, says law is the command of the sovereign. Basically, when I asking a question, what is a law, to a law student, he will say, sir, a law may be some set of rules and regulations that has been made for the purpose of punishment, prescribing some offense, giving some punishment like that. But more than a punishment and offenses, law is something more. Because that concept is very preliminary, because initial days, the only role of a government was to called police state in jurisprudence. It was only to prescribe punishments and to protect their territories. So the 2 functions of a state was to law and order and defense. They wanted to see that no rebellion comes from the territory which they rule. Second one, they wanted to expand their territory and they want to defend it. So for that purpose, they enacted some laws. These laws prescribe some offenses, define some offenses, and prescribe some punishments. This is called police state. But slowly, from the police state, the states transferred to a welfare state. In a welfare state, the rulers has to give much more to their citizens. So for that purpose, in order to make the state a welfare state, so many type of laws were enacted. So in that sense, law became a very powerful instrument of social engineering or social control or social change. So fundamentally, than a police law, a law is a very powerful instrument of social change. The law can change the society. The law can advance the society towards a new horizon. For example, you know that I am addressing to the students of Nirmala College, which is a women's college. Can you imagine in 1600 or 1700 or 1800 or even early 19th century, such a college functions 100%? Because where the women the girl students were deprived of their education. So because of the law, because of so many enactment of women empowerment, the present position status of women has been achieved. It may be starting from Dowry Prohibition Act, Child Marriage Restraint Act, Sati Prevention Act, all those things from when the Indian Constitution has been incorporated. We have the fundamental rights of equality, where also there is provision for reservation. So in order to boost up the weaker section of society, a law can make so many dimensional revolutions. So basically that you have to understand, law is a powerful tool of social change. Then come to logic. Logic always play a vital role in the implementation of law. Even in the book, the preface is written by a very eminent judge at that time. He himself says that a true judicial mind hovers around several factors and finally rests on a conclusion which is pronounced as a judgment based on logic. So this logic, law, then comes to liberty. I will come to liberty later. So this is a book, wonderful book, deals with 6 various topics. And the foreword has been written by Justice M. Srinivasan. He was a serving judge of the Supreme Court of India at that time. And the preface is by the author himself. And these 6 topics I will just come to. Before that, I wanted to talk about liberty also. The word liberty is very wider nowadays, because you know that the Rousseau said, man is born free, but everywhere he is in chain. That is true, because you are born as a free man, but the moment you born, you are chained with so many things. It can be law, it can be religion, it can be your custom, it can be so many other things. So though you are born free, that moment onwards, you are started chaining and you are now with the chains. So your liberty, your freedom is having a limit. You have the right to sing your hands only up to the end of the nose of the other person, because you cannot harm another person. So your liberty has always been restricted, because it shall not be an encroachment to the freedom or liberty of another person. So the liberty, the concept of liberty is having very important role in the constitutional law, because in Article 21, you might have been heard about fundamental rights. Part 3 of the Indian Constitution guarantees fundamental rights. And one of the most important fundamental rights is provided in Article 21, which says no person shall be deprived of his life or personal liberty except in accordance with the procedure established by law. That means your liberty can be curtailed only by a procedure by law. The procedure must be established procedure. It must be a fair one. It must be a reasonable one. Only through that procedure, a person's liberty can be curtailed. So even including arrest, some of the topics he deals about bail. That is why I'm coming to that. So even by arrest, when a person has been arrested by the police for an allegation of an offense, you have to see one thing. When the police or prosecutors are arresting, there is only an accused, not a convict. People usually ask why lawyers or somebody is protecting the accused. There is only accused. The state can accuse anyone. Only when he had undergone a trial and a competent court convicted him, then only he became a convict. Anyway, now Article 21 says your liberty, even including arrest, that can be done only through a procedure established by law. So this Article 21 has been expanded by our Constitutional Court, the High Court and Supreme Court, various High Courts and Supreme Court of India, starting from A.K. Gopalan's case. A.K. Gopalan, you might be aware that he is a political leader and was the leader of opposition at the Indian Parliament at the time, Lok Sabha. So one of his cases, starting from A.K. Gopalan case, it comes to Maneka Gandhi's case. Maneka Gandhi is also a very famous political leader, you know. So from there always, the Supreme Court started widening the scope of liberty from an animal existence to a much more horizon. Now it has been interpreted when it comes to the era of Justice Bhagavati and Justice Krishna here. It became more wider, and even a person from a jail or some place, you can write a letter to the constitutional courts. I mean, constitutional court means there are 2 types of constitutional courts. You know that there's basically writ courts. One is High Court, and another one is Supreme Court. And these constitutional courts having the power to deal with these aspects. So the liberty is also having that much meaning, and the author magically mixes these 3 topics together and selected 6 areas. That is why I'm coming to that, because all these 3 areas are very important, and distinctly separated, but through 6 articles that you say that his erudite views has been expressed. And the thing is that I have gone through all these 6 articles many times, and these are so good that it has been chronologically ordered with the Supreme Court judgments, and it comes to the conclusion logic. Not only the judgments having a logical conclusion, the author is having a logical conclusion in his mind. That inspired, I think, that inspired him to make these 6 articles or select these 6 topics. So the first topic is basically about, I can only glance because time limit, the beacon light. It says about the power of the Parliament to amend the Constitution. You know that our Constitution is very distinct. It is one of the largest written constitution in the world. And it covers various aspects. I don't have time to read says about the Indian Constitution, but one of the main characteristics of a Constitution is Part 3. That is the fundamental rights. Fundamental rights are those rights which every citizen can claim from the state and its officers. So these 6 fundamental rights has been enumerated or can be classified into 6 categories. One is right to equality, then right to freedom, then right against exploitation, right to freedom of religion, cultural and educational rights, and right to constitutional remedy. So equality, you know that all persons has to be treated equally, irrespective of their religion, their caste, their creed, and their age. But there are some provision to give reservation to upward the weaker section. Then right to freedom, Article 19 onwards provides. These freedoms also provided in Indian Constitution, but with reasonable restrictions. And then I talked about Article 21. It is one of the main important right in which the state or its officers are barred to curtail the liberty of a person. Then comes right against exploitation. Then we have the right to religion. Though India is a secular state, we have the right to practice and profess religion. We have the right to propagate religion. So that aspect, and the cultural and educational right, we have the minority communities, we have the minority languages, they have been given protection. Then the final one is the right to constitutional remedies. That is, if any of the fundamental right has been curtailed by the state, then you have the right to approach the Constitutional Court, like Supreme Court of India. Article 32 says, right to approach the Supreme Court against a violation of fundamental rights itself is a fundamental right, not a statutory right. So you have the fundamental right to approach the Supreme Court itself. Because what is the importance of fundamental right? These fundamental rights are part of the basic structure of the Constitution. So this cannot be altered by a constitutional amendment. Our Constitution is subject to, it is not that much rigid. It's subject to amendment. The Parliament, depends upon the subject, can amend by simple majority or even by 2/3 majority of the entire legislature, but still you cannot touch the basic structure. As per Keshavananda Bharati's case, a constitutional bench of Supreme Court has stated that you cannot alter the basic structure by way of a constitutional amendment. So what the author tried to say is about this power, because the legislation, where the power comes, the legislative power comes from the Constitution itself. Constitution is the supreme law of the country. So we have 3 lists. Part 11 of the Constitution says about 3 lists. The first list is called the Union list. The Union list, some items are mentioned in the 7th schedule. And these items, these areas, only the Indian Parliament is empowered to make a law. Then list 2 is a state list. These are the areas in which only the state legislature is entitled to enact a law. Then third one is concurrent list, in which both the state as well as the Parliament is having power to make law. This is very, very important in the current political scenario, because you know that now the power of the governor as a chancellor, and what happens if a central law and a state law. So concurrent list I have stated, there are some topic including education or higher education in which both the state legislature as well as the Parliament can enact law. So what happens? Suppose state legislature pass a law, and on the very same topic or very same area, there is a law enacted by the Parliament, and some area it become repugnant, it become in conflict. then the Constitution says to that extent it is inoperational. Only the law enacted by the Parliament will prevail. And moreover, in this list, there is residuary power by which if any area in which it is not included in list 1 or 2, it is lies to the Parliament. So the author tried to make says that the supremacy of the Parliament. It's very, very important in the present day scenario. I've stated again, because if there is I don't want to say something more about it. It is not our area of discussion. I want only to say that in case of a conflict between a law enacted by the Parliament and a law enacted by the state legislature, to the extent of that repugnancy or conflict, only the law enacted by the Parliament will prevail. That is what the Supreme Court stated, reiterated in a number of decisions. In a catching of decisions, Supreme Court has stated this will only prevail because it is based on the constitutional mandate. So the first topic, that is the importance, because an author who is writing or selecting a topic, that topic is always important. That is the craftsmanship of that particular person. He selected such topics which is live always. The second topic that has been selected by him is the rule against double jeopardy. It's also in the fundamental rights under Article 20, subclause 2, no person shall be prosecuted and punished for the same offense more than twice. You can be prosecuted. You can be punished for an offense only once. If
Excuse
Sir,
me,
unmute yourself, sir. You're gone mute.
please unmute.
Please unmute.
yes, no, some call comes because I am using my mobile. I'm sorry. Because working day, no, so many persons will call. Am I audible now?
Yes, sir. You are.
Okay, because maybe disturbed because of some calls. So the second one is against the double jeopardy, and third topic is jail versus bail. You might have been heard about what is a bail. This is also a topic always discussed in the media when it comes to some cases in which some what you call persons are involved, particular persons who are known to all, including some film personality, somebody is involved. These topics always comes to language. And basically the rule is that bail, you know that bail is basically, there are two types of offenses, cognizable and non-cognizable offenses. Cognizable is an offense in which the police can arrest without warrant. Non-cognizable is in which the police has to get a warrant from the magistrate concerned. And there are another two types of offenses, that is called bailable and non-bailable. In the bailable offenses, it is very small offenses in which bail is a matter of right, and non-bailable offenses, usually bail is the discretion of the court grants it. And there are two types of bails. One is a regular bail. When a person has been arrested, within 24 hours, he has to be produced before the nearest magistrate, and bail can be moved. If that has been denied, he will be remanded, and subsequently in the higher court, sessions court or high court, you can move for a regular bail. The another one is an anticipatory bail, which is moved in anticipation of arrest. If a person is having some apprehension that he would be arrested for an offense, and he will be tortured in the custody, or his right will be prevailed, they can approach the sessions court or the high court for an anticipatory bail. So generally, as held by Justice V.R. Krishnayar, the rule is bail, not jail, though it is not strictly followed nowadays. But it is the rule, because earlier a person is an accused. Why a person has been remanded in the custody? Sometimes police may require him because of for interrogation. He may be remanded into judicial custody, into the prison, only because there is possibility that he may influence the witnesses. He may threaten them, or he may run out of the clutches of law. So to prevent only that aspect, a person has to be kept in jail. Otherwise, what is the rule is bail and not jail. A very good, very nice article has been made by my learned friend, and his erudite views has to be highly appreciated because it is a nice, very nice article. And the next one is the power to tax. See the areas in which he has been selected. Tax, you know that there is a difference between tax and fee. Tax, even if you are getting a return, you have to pay tax. all of you are paying tax, either direct tax or indirect taxes. Direct taxes, maybe you are aware in income tax like that, you have to pay based on your income. Indirect taxes, always we are paying the sales taxes. It was generally general sales tax, now comes to value add taxes, now again goods and service tax, whatever name it may be. When you are purchasing a goods, that MRP includes a tax. This tax is gone to the common fund, state exchequer, that has to be used to the common goodness. A particular person gives the tax, more tax will not be get an additional service, because there is no quid pro quo. Quid pro quo in the legal terms means something in return. You pay something more tax. If you are a super taxpayer, you won't get any super service from the government. You get only the very same service from the government to a non-taxpayer as well as a taxpayer also. But there are two types of taxes, direct taxes and indirect taxes. And my friend is dealing with Article 265, in which the legislation is having the power to tax, and is commenting about the colorable use of the power by the legislature as well as executive. And incidentally, I am a person nowadays to defend the government in taxation matters. I'm a senior standing counsel to the customs and central taxes. My duty is to appear in the important cases before the High Court to defend the revenue authorities. My duty is to protect the state revenue. So naturally, I am having professionally some difference of view, maybe because of the current position I am holding. But before that, I used to appear for the taxpayers. But in criminal law as well as taxation law, one thing is that if some provisions are ambiguous or not clear, naturally strict interpretation will go, and the law has to be interpreted in a manner which gives the privilege or which gives some relaxation to the taxpayer in a taxation matter. And if it is a criminal law, it is in favor of the accused. That is called strict interpretation.
Sir, please note that you've exceeded the time limit. Sorry for the interruption. So
I'm going to conclude it. I'm going to conclude. The fifth one is to power to punish, and the next one is regarding a comment about no law is immortal regarding an ordinance that has been promulgated in 1944 and still in force. So this I'm very thankful, because I in the introductory speech starting from itself, I've said that 15 minutes time is not sufficient, because my friend had dealt with many areas of great importance. But this what works by him being a multifaceted personality, it has to be highly appreciated. And I consider it as a great privilege and honor to address all of you. And I'm thanking to the college as well as the organizers to give me an opportunity. And after this, I am seeking your permission to leave, because I have to attend the potlucks. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your thought-provoking and informative paper. And now, the platform is open to Ms. Adira Manoharan, who is an assistant professor of Bharat Mata College, to present the paper titled Romantic Elements in the Poetry of Vanavil K. Ravi. And I request all the participants to keep up the time. The time for the paper presentation is 10 minutes. So, Ms. Adira Manoharan.
Good morning, am I audible?
Yes.
I hope I'm audible and visible.
Yes, yes, you are.
So good morning to all, and thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to present a paper on Sir Vanavil K. Ravi's work. And I'll share my screen right now. Is it visible? Hello?
Yes, yes, it is. You may.
So my presentation is about the romantic elements in the poetry of Vanavil Ravi. The history of humankind is marked by a certain awakening that reconstructed what was thought to be true in the years past. A study of Western literary history is a roller coaster ride through political, economical background that shaped particular disciplines of thought in each age. The Enlightenment and Great New Awakening, the Romantic movement, can be considered as two of the most important turns in the thought process of Western world. Romanticism, first defined as an aesthetic in literary criticism around 18,000, gained momentum as an artistic movement in France and Britain in the early decades of 19th century and flourished until mid-century. With its emphasis on the imagination and emotion, Romanticism emerged as a response to the disillusionment with the Enlightenment values of reason and order in the aftermath of French Revolution in 1789. It can be characterized by its adherence to individual emotions and expression of it in a form that is close to nature. That's where the poetry of Sir Vanavil Ravi comes very close to Romantic movement and close to Transcendentalist movement, which was alternative of Romanticism in America. So about Vanavil Ravi, as a practicing lawyer at Madras High Court, his lines is not only composed of sublimity of a poet, but also the rigorousness of a lawyer. He taps into romantic theme through meticulous arrangement of words which reflect the tradition which forms his ground. His strong affiliation to the revolutionary poetry of S. Bharatiyar is implicit in his writing. While holding the traditional values of his faith, he ventures into Western aesthetics through the perspective of 19th century British romantics. This paper intends to elaborate the culmination of such an amalgamation of Indian philosophy, traditional romantic vision in an age of technology. I have selected 2 poems from the work, A Spark, a Petal, an anthology of poetry, to study in depth to understand how the poet has used 5 elements to achieve a spiritual existence and to form a connection between the Indian culture and the Romantic age. First poem I'll be examining is the Cosmic Barter, and the second one is the Mirror of Truth. I'll be showing the poetry right now, the Cosmic Barter. In the poem Cosmic Barter, the poet initiates a barter trade with the sky. Sky, in the sense of words, act as a representation of the cosmos and personification of the mystic power which he ought to reach through interpretation of nature. The interpretation is the reciprocation of gift showered on him by the sky. The poet asks for glittering stars, lightning spark, and lash of rain. He offers morning dewdrops formed in the tips of grass in return of the stars. An acute reader can imagine the process of conversion of stars into morning dewdrops. One may deduce that the poet is tapping the cosmic energy into something as subtle an object as a delicate, refreshing dewdrop. Poets, as indicated by Philip Sidney, had the idea as manifest by delivering them forth in such excellency as he had imagined them. The stanza manifests 3 base elements, the fire, the wood, and water. The stars represent fire, which is the spirit of cosmic order, which is then converted into water. The first element, the grass, representing wood, another base element. In the next stanza, the promises high voltage versus in return of lightning spark. Here, the element fire is converted into high voltage verse, which hints the base element metal. There is a transformation from one element to another. In the final stanza, the poet brings out truth through a lash of rain, the transformation that has made cosmic knowledge into comprehensible image of a dewdrop is made lighter as it is penned down by the poet. At the end of the process lies truth, which is a premise of Romanticism. We can observe that the poet made use of transformation of one base element to another parallel to process of conversion of mystic knowledge of truth. The quest for truth forms the ground of his another poem, the second poem I'm examining today, which is The Mirror of Truth. The poet who stands naked in front of mirror of truth conceives himself as a fragile form, not strong enough to contain the truth that he sees. The lines remind the reader of Arjun witnessing Vishwarupa of Krishna. He compares his form to a fleeting shadow in a flickering light. The light is a representation of life which is slowly burning out, but the shadow and the fountain springing out from the shadows shall outlive the light. It is infinite as is divine enough to see truth. It is magnificent form. At this moment, the poet is in peace with himself as he is humbled by what he sees before him. The poet doubts his fate as he can't find words to describe what he is experiencing. Even if he finds words, he doubts whether it could be envisioned. The poet reaches the truth with the help of 5 elements. He sees the 5 elements in the truth. The flickering flame is fire and is life. It is a spark of life that led through the journey. He was surrounded by his reconciling youth, represented through fallen leaves, which represent woods. The ground he stood and walked is represented by earth and fountain that spring forth from the shadow is a soul which is poetry. It is a base element water that accompanies him while facing the truth. Truth, in all its infinite glory, has humbled him so much that no lofty praise touches his heart. His inner core is composed of terrifying beauty of truth brought to him by the 5 elements. So through these two works that I've examined, I've actually tapped the crust of Vanavil K. Ravi's works, in which he mixes both the Indian and the foreign and the Western elements of poetry to get a kind of trance or a romantic end in which we see ourselves one with nature. And in both these poems, the poet explores through cosmic energy. He taps into 5 elements so as to correlate his Eastern faith with the Western school of Romanticism. The poet thus achieves a reconciliation of the Orient and Occident through cosmic truth. We can relate Baba's theories in which both the Orient and the Occident becomes one and through the process of cultural transmission. So that's it. Thank you for listening. I shall be ending my sharing now.
Good.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your wonderful paper. I'm happy to invite the head of the Department of English of Rathinam College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore, Dr. R. Kavita, to present her paper titled Rhythm of Words in Vanavil Ravi's Poems. Over to you, ma'am. Hello.
Is she there? Has she come?
Dr. R. Kavita. Sorry for the interruption. Let us move on to the next paper then. I call upon Ms. Sri Lakshmi P., the guest faculty of the Department of English, Nirmala College, to present the paper titled Philip Larkin's Poems and Vanavil Ravi's Poems Through the Lens of Existentialism. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Okay. You may begin your presentation, ma'am.
Yes. So first of all, my title is A Comparative Study of Philip Larkin's and Vanavil Ravi's Poems Through the Lens of Existentialism. So Vanavil K. Ravi is a practicing advocate in Madras High Court, Tamil Nadu. As a poet, he is greatly influenced by the writings of Subramanya Bharati. His poems cannot be classified either as traditional or modern. He writes poems on a wide canvas on various themes ranging from nature, spirituality, nationalism, patriotism, etc. Contrary to this, The Queue, a poem taken from his collection titled The Sound of Silence, stands out from the rest of the poems in this collection, and it would be read in the light of existentialism. So my paper, A Comparative Study of Philip Larkin's and Vanavil Ravi's Poems Through the Lens of Existentialism, attempts to explore the absurdity and existential crisis seen in the works of Vanavil K. Ravi's poems, especially the poem The Queue. The paper draws from Albert Camus' The Myth of Sisyphus and Samuel Beckett's Waiting for Godot to delve into the absurd realm in the poem. It states that existential crisis permeates and the poem can be compared with Philip Larkin's church-going in terms of existentialism. Throughout the poem, the speaker of the poem shares existential crisis with Beckett's characters, Vladimir and Extravagant. Albert Camus, The Myth of Sisyphus, places Sisyphus as an absurd hero. According to the Greek mythology, Sisyphus stole the secrets of the gods. Aegina, the daughter of Sisyphus, was kidnapped by Jupiter. When Sisyphus shared his concerns regarding his daughter with Sisyphus, he declared that he knew about her abduction and would tell Sisyphus about it, only if he agreed to give water to the citadel of Corinth. He is also famous for enchaining death. He is condemned by the god to endlessly roll a boulder to the top of a mountain. Camus compares Sisyphus' tragedy with the modern-day workmen whose labor ends up in futility. They repeat the same tasks every day monotonously without making any progress. Their faith is no less absurd. Larkin was not an exception. He was influenced by the powerful mood of existentialism of his time. Larkin belonged to the 20th century, and his poetry essentially reflects the existential mood of his time. The whole atmosphere of Larkin's poetry is gloomy, bleak, and aspiring. Throughout Larkin's poetry, there is a continuing interest in the nature of human existence. So the poetry of Philip Larkin creates a strong knot of existentialism in different ways, especially when he deals with his central theme, that is death. All other themes of Larkin revolve around this theme, and all themes reveal a strong note of pessimism. In the poem Church Going, Larkin presents the typical agnosticism of the 20th century as well as his own existential dilemma. He seems to be mocking a church rituals at different levels, but at the same time, he feels the necessity of his house, that is church, on this earth for the consolation of mind of its visitors. To note in the lines, a serious house on serious earth it is, in whose blent air all our compulsions meet, are recognized and robbed as destinies. Church Going, 55-57. Larkin's sense of isolation is further deepened when he says that he visits the church alone, when nobody is there. He observes all things inside the church and feels the otherness of these things, but is unable to find meanings. In K.V.'s poems, the speaker wonders whether he stands in a queue. He is not able to comprehend whether the queue is moving or not. He feels the individuals aligned in the queue are mere numbers. Their individuality is lost. When he asks the purpose of the queue, the majority of them seem not to have an answer. The queue symbolizes the social order. The speaker in the poem seeks to identify his position in the social order, even though he is unable to do it. He cannot understand what his function in the social order is. The speaker asks, waiting without knowing. What are we waiting for? More and more keep joining us. Is it a queue or a cellar? This waiting without knowing reminds one of the waiting of Estragon and Vladimir in Waiting for Godot. They are aware about the arrival of someone named Godot. However, they do not know when he would be arriving. They do not even know who Godot is or how they are related to him. Despite their ignorance, they take part in the process of waiting. They wait for Godot until it is dark, and even when they know Godot would not appear before them, they repeat the same process of waiting for him the next day and the day after that, and so on endlessly. Vladimir even says, habit is a great deadener. Like Beckett's trance, the unnamed individuals in the queue keep on waiting without knowing what they are really waiting for. They do not find any meaning in life. They know they are part of the social order and they do participate in it without really knowing their function or purpose in it. All they share is the meaningless routine of dull daily life, which is waiting. In the absurd world, the speaker of the few, as well as Vladimir and Extragon, feel that they must wait. They have no other choice rather than waiting. The utter despair of the characters is being reflected in here. Philip Larkin's poetry is affected by anguish, loneliness, and anxiety. He is an individual sufferer concerned with death, old age, and brevity of life and meaninglessness of his existence. Various frustrating aspects of Larkin's experiences and existence thus constitute a strong note of existentialism in his poetry. So to conclude, existential crisis permeates throughout the poem, and the speaker of the poem remains parallel to Larkin, and we are on the same hand reminded of Beckett's characters and shares his existential crisis with them. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for the marvelous comparison. Now, I'm again happy to invite the head of the Department of English of Rathinam College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore, Dr. R. Kavita, to present the paper titled Rhythm of Words in Vanavil Ravi's Poems. Over to you, ma'am.
You have to unmute your mic. Sorry, you are muted. You have to unmute.
No. Kavita, am I audible? Am I not audible? Kavita, ma'am?
Kavita is on mute mode. She must unmute her mic.
Kavita, ma'am, can you please unmute? No. Okay, so let us move on with the next paper presenter. I would like to invite the head of the Department of English of VLB Janaki Ammal College of Arts and Science, Coimbatore, Dr. G. Hemalata, to present her paper titled An Unsung Tale of a Supreme Sacrifice. Hemalata, ma'am, over to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you, ma'am. Yeah. And very good morning to one and all listening here. And it's my pleasure to share the topic, An Unsung Tale of Supreme Sacrifice, with reference to the Ballad of the Warrior Girl, Queely by Vanavil K. Ravi. I think I'm audible. Am I right, ma'am? Am I audible now?
Yes, yes, you are.
Yeah. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you. Vanavil K. Ravi, sir, is a distinguished personality who is an advocate by profession and poet by passion. His poems are highly remarkable. He has written more than 100 poems and published nearly 16 books. He contributed his excuse me. He contributed his unique writings to various magazines and journals over the past 50 years. Most of his works are highly instigative and historical representations. Queely is familiarly known by some people as Veeramangai, the brave woman, who was a valiant warrior and belonged to be the scheduled caste of Arundaviyinar. Queely was born to Periyamuttan and Rakku, who worked in the fields. Her mother, Rakku, who was well known for her bravery, died in an attempt to save the fields from being. Then moved near Sivagangai with Queely, where he worked as a cobbler. The early life in the ballad is something interesting, instigative poetry. Queely brings him back. Queely pleads with folded hands. A flower is dropped by a tree, and on her palm it lands. Does it make a statement of love, and fear? A ripple shot somewhere near bring her back to now and here. It is said that he is raised Queely by telling her of many courageous acts of her mother, which inspired her a lot in her life. This proves that how the impact of listening story confronts the individual life, and he was rapidly employed as a spy for Velu Nachiyar, who was then in hiding. He also fought for his daughter and the queen during the war. The nature of Periyamuttam's profession brought Quili and Velu Nachiyar close together. Quili and her father were unrestrictedly allowed to access Velu Nachiyar at any time, which is the reason why Quili found a special place in the heart of exiled queen. Quili's bond with Velu Nachiyar. Quili saved the queen's life for more than one occasion. When an intruder tried to murder Velu Nachiyar during her sleep, Quili saved her life and was badly injured in the process of saving queen's life. On witnessing this, Velu Nachiyar immediately tore a piece of sari of her to bandage Quili's wound. This shows that the queen is more concerned on Quili with more gratitude. In other instances, Quili discovered that her own silambam, a weapon-based martial art teacher, was involving in doing a spy work against the queen. She immediately ended her life, sensing the danger which he could cause Velu Nachiyar in her nearest future. This led the queen, making Quili her personal bodyguard by trusting her valiant. When the British tried to compel Quili to reveal Velu Nachiyar's plans, but she refused to disclose it. As a result of which they tormented Quili's community by affiliating various atrocities on downtrodden people, especially the Dalit people. Velu Nachiyar lends a hand to Quili's resistance by appointing her the commander-in-chief of women's army for her credit. Quili as a commander-in-chief. The Uday Regiment was the first women force founded by Velu Nachiyar. It was named after valiant women who sacrificed her life under imprisonment for not revealing the secret about her queen to her captor. In the ballad of the following lines have been incorporated to highlight the mystery of Quili in Penitry. They beheaded her at last. Chivalry would thus become a thing of the past. The trees around lamented and shed their leaves in respect. The sky was dark. A single star, like a little insect, peeped out from above. To have a look at that ghastly scene, a blot on earth. After these successful formation of alliances with Maruthu Pandya's Hyder Ali and Tipu Sultan, Velu Nachiyar entered into the war with the British in order to reclaim her kingdom. Though her army's soldiers were well trained and had won a few battles, they faced a lot of difficulties due to the advanced weapon used by the British army. But still, they did not give up their spirit in fighting against British army. Really formulated attack on British. In spite of their preparedness, Velu Nachiyar's army and weapons were not a perfect match for the guns that British carried during the war. Their guns could kill people from distance, even from before the combat began. Quili formulated her own strategy to defeat British army. She gathered information about women being allowed into the Shivagangai Kotai, it's a fort, which was against the norm. As it was 10th day of Navaratri, women across the kingdom were allowed inside in order to celebrate the Vijayadashmi festival, which was celebrated in the temple of Rajeshwari Ammin. Quili took this golden opportunity and planned a surprise attack on the British. She led her army, who were dressed as civilians and were unnoticed by the British army, who were swarmingly around the fort. Having hidden weapons inside the flour and the fruit basket, the women entered into the fort on the Queen's queue, attacked the British. The British army was in surprise and forced into a battle which they were unprepared for. Quili, who had already made note of the location of the storage area where the weapons were kept, formulated another plan. She made use of disorganized surroundings and made her comrades pour ghee and oil and all over her that were kept for burning the lamp. She went inside the storage area and set herself on fire. She destroyed all the weapons and left the British army completely vulnerable by her courageousness and firm decision to destroy it. The following lines proves freely act of sacrifice of her own life to safeguard the people from British. Destroyed the Erinsel for a moment, time stood still. In history, no parallel. The wooden army within minutes killed the British soldiers. The Queen fought with valor and beheaded the major. Her bravery, her decision-making and vividness allowed Belunacia not only to win the battle, but also to reclaim her fort and her kingdom. Queen ever become the first woman martyr, enthusiastically who sacrificed her own life for India's freedom struggle. Victory to Kali, victory to Durga, victory to Shivaganga, freedom to all, freedom to all, freedom to one and all. By the grace of God, we have broken the British wall, shouted the women, and echoed the sky. Everything happened in the wink of an eye. Freely's supreme sacrifice. Freely is an epitome of supreme sacrifice. For the nation's freedom, she gave her life as a price, a beacon light, an inspiration for every woman to rise against oppression, against malevolence, to rise above the transient moral existence. Though the Indian history failed in recognizing Freely's selfless act, her actions had, however, helped in restoring the people of Sivagangai with their own identity. Among all the stories told in the book of history, one would remain in gold, the story of Freely. Writings of Vanavil K. Ravi reflect positive change among the people towards the prospectus of women who equally on par with men in defeating the British army. It manifests the supreme sacrifice and the heroism of Freely, which remains as an unsung tale. It allows the society to realize the power of women without any bias, and ethically holds the respect for women and endow it with improvement in lives of people with a sense of patriotism by unearthing history. Freely possessed a lot of courage and intense patriotism, and her selfless hard work, sacrifices, and struggles are rarely highlighted. In general, the Indian movement of independence is incomplete without mentioning the significant contributions by female women writers. The truth behind Independence Day that let not forget the innumerable sacrifices made by female Indian freedom fighters too. So with this, I conclude my presentation. I also submit my in-depth gratitude to Vimala College, Thrissur, and Tamil Cultural Research Center, Palakkad, for providing me this wonderful opportunity. Thank you, one and all, for all your patience. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for your wonderful and inspiring paper.
Thank you.
And I would like to once again call upon Dr. R. Kavita.
Kavita, I am told he is not getting the network. So you try once or twice, then just pass on the thing to Mr. Vanavil Ravi.
Okay, so
yeah.
I guess
I got a message. Yeah.
Okay, so as Kavita ma'am is unable to present the paper right now, we'll just move on to the most awaited session.
I think Kavita is saying something. Let us try to give her a chance.
Okay, Kavita ma'am.
Are you able to connect?
No.
No.
I think somebody is trying to help her. Just one moment. Let's see.
Okay.
I'm able to see somebody helping her.
If she's not getting connection, that will be over to Mr. Ravi for his acceptance speech.
No, we'll give her a chance now. Let's see. 1 minute. Any chance, Kavita ma'am, or not?
So
I got a message. There is some problem with the audio. It's not connecting. So let us move on.
Okay.
So it is time to move forward to the most awaited session of the day. Sri Vanavil K. Ravi, the blessed poet's poems are those which exhibit a blend of both traditional and modern poetry. The practicing lawyer of the Madras High Court is a founder of the Literary Society, Vanavil Cultural Center. He has a number of publications to his credit, like Justice versus Natural Justice, Verses of Wisdom, Namakathodil Kavidai, Ennattavam Seidhanai, and so on. His latest work, which is published, is Kuili, the Ballad of the Warrior Girl. We are so fortunate to have you, sir. You're such an eminent personality, and we are really fortunate to have you to grace the occasion. So fortunate to have you. You're such an eminent personality. Kavita ma'am, can you please? Kavita ma'am, can you please mute yourself?
There's disturbance. There is disturbance.
Okay, that's fine. Let us move on with this. So we are so fortunate to have such an eminent personality to grace the occasion with his presence and invaluable words. I invite Sri Vanavil K. Ravi, the renowned poet, for the acceptance speech. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. தெளிவரவே அறிந்திடுதல் தெளிவுதர மொழிந்திடுதல் சிந்திப்பார்க்கே கழிவளர உள்ளத்தில் ஆனந்த கனவு பல காட்டல் கண்ணீர் துளி வர உள்ளுருக்குதல் இங்கிவையெல்லாம் நீ அருளும் தொழில்களன்றோ ஒளி வளரும் தமிழ்வாணி ஒளி வளரும் தமிழ்வாணி அடியநீர்க்கு இவை அனைத்தும் உதவுவாயே. The respected principal of the college, Dr. Beena Jose, the scholarly professor, Dr. Sanil Raj, Dr. Nisha Francis Alapet, who has worked day and night for nearly 1 month for this seminar, HOD of English, my dear Professor K. Rajaram, my mentor and guide, my learned brother, Advocate Dinesh, professors and scholars like Atira Manoharan, Dr. Kavita, Sri Lakshmi and Hemalata, music professor Maheshwari, and other distinguished guests, including my good friend, Mr. Periyaswamy, a scholar, and Dr. Geeta, a retired professor. Good morning, or shall I say good afternoon to all of you. It was really a wonderful session of 2 hours that I have spent with you this morning. I'm really grateful to all of you. You made me revisit my writings and wonder what ripples they cause in the minds of earnest readers. Dr. Sanil Raj placed me in the great Hall of Fame, of which I have written a song which I'll sing for you later. And he said, I have portrayed different masters. Sorry, all masters are the same. Only one master. He takes different forms. And he also commented about my political poems and said whether I had any allegiance. Sorry, no, I don't. I have equal respect, or if I may say so, equal disrespect for every political party. Every political party is aiming only at exploiting we, the innocent public. This is my view. I don't owe allegiance to any political party. Well, Professor Rajaram was very kind in his forward, and he gave a very nice presentation. Advocate Dinesh spoke about law, logic, and liberty, and he made one valid point. Women empowerment is a direct result of our constitution, our law. That is very important. And Adira Manoharan made a nice PowerPoint presentation and took Cosmic Batter and the Mirror of Truth poems. And really unfortunate that Dr. Kavita is not able to join us because of some connectivity problem. Sri Lakshmi, it's wonderful, amazing, a very strange paper. She compared me to Philip Larkin. I'm not very much acquainted with that poet, but I've heard of him as a great poet. He used to write schoolgirl fictions. That's what they say. I'm not on that genre, but somehow he took a string of existentialism, existential crisis, existential anguish from a single poem, The Cube. A poet lives in different moments at different times, not always the same. One moment he is Shelley, the optimist. Another moment he is Matthew Arnold, a pessimist. So you cannot put him in a watertight compartment. The author is helpless in the hall of criticism. He cannot defend himself. And then Dr. Hemalata gave a very good sketch of Kuili's life and my ballad. Well, now I come to my presentation, whatever it is. I would like to share some of my ideas with you. Do I have about 15 minutes, ma'am? I don't know. You have to tell me.
Yes,
what
sir.
is my time limit?
Yes, sir.
Thank you. It is my strong faith that literature is not merely a matter of cerebral exercise or excellence. It's more than that. It has its roots in the utmost depth of one's being, bringing out all that lie deeply submerged in the subconscious. Let me share one incident with you in my life. A few years ago, a renowned scholar called Pulavar Ramamurthy, much senior to me, had come to see me. We had a conversation. During the course of conversation, as it is always wont with me, I had quoted profusely from the epic Ramayana penned by the great Tamil poet Kambar, and also a few poems from the pages of English literature. He was appreciative of that and said, well, you seem to remember all that you had read. Immediately, without deliberation, I replied, nay, retorted, sir, not only all that I had read, but also some that I had not read. He was confused, looked at me searchingly, and with an element of pessimism, how could this guy say that he remembered lines he had not even read? He was perplexed. I added, I do not remember having ever read some of the lines that I quoted today. After a pause, I said, at least not in this birth. And I made a point, I don't know, it's up to you to discern the meaning of it. Of what use it is to write, or what use it could be of writing and reading poems, or any piece of literature for that matter.
Anti-ragging, yeah.
Shall I switch off? Mute all mics.
இருக்கிறதெல்லாம் மேம்க்கு தான் ஆக்சஸ் ஆகும். கவிதா மேம்க்கு தான்.
Kavita ma'am,
அவங்க அதான் ஏதோ இதுக்கு போயிருக்காங்களாமா. எப்படி போறதுன்னு வேணா என்னோட இதுல இருக்கு.
There is a lot of disturbance.
Kavita ma'am too.
Kavita's mic.
Kavita ma'am, can you please mute it?
Sorry, you can mute her.
Let her talk afterwards, after finishing this.
Some other mic.
Usha,
It is Redmi Note 9.
speak after Mr. Ravi's speech. Yeah.
College, mute all mic.
Rajaram sir. Rajaram sir.
College,
Disturbance.
all mic. College. It is Redmi Note 9 that is causing the trouble. I don't know who it is. Now it's muted. Well, let me continue. What use it could be writing and reading poems, or any piece of literature for that matter? What is the earthly use? Surely it would not fill up your coffers. It will not satiate your hunger. Or your carnal appetite. That read me that. Okay, fine. Well, it may not satiate your hunger, but still it might give you an insight. I literally mean that, an insight. Make you look deep into yourself, cross the boundaries of the ordinary consciousness, and set out on a journey into the subconscious, or if I may say so, the metaconscious. Let me give you an example. Suppose you are watching a movie and is absorbed in a romantic scene there. Say the one between the very celebrated scene between Clark Gable and Vivian Leigh in the old classical movie Gone with the Wind. When you are so much absorbed in that scene, if someone pats on your shoulder from behind, you turn around with a sudden shocking jerk, don't you? Like someone waking up in the middle of a dream. Yes, what happens to you in a dream happens when you are absorbed in literature, be it a romantic scene or a drama of pathos or even a comedy. You come out of it having tasted something that is not in the realm of conscious experience. I wouldn't say that in it you forget yourself, you don't, but you go beyond the limitation of your bodily existence. And by a process of empathy, you experience the experiences of another appearing in the scene. I repeat, you experience the experiences of another. That is what the scholars call negative capability. I think students of English literature, or at least professors, will be acquainted with that phrase, negative capability. When Wordsworth beseeches you to look in the field, he says, you are all familiar with that, beholder, beholder, single in the field, yon solitary highland lass, reaping and singing by herself, softly, stop here or gently pass. Alone she cuts and binds the grain and sings a melancholy strain. Oh, listen, for the vale profound is overflowing with the sound. So Wordsworth asked you, beholder. When the poet asks you to behold, he holds your attention and makes you see what he sees. He makes you see what he sees. In this assembly, you appreciate not me. You don't appreciate me, but what I made you see, what I made you hear, what I made you experience. You experience, my joy, my anguish, my anger, my thoughts, my yearning. In this process, you realize that you are not just your body. You realize your ability to transcend the limitations of the physical frame. You start seeing even when your eyes are closed. You start hearing, but not through your ears. You start experiencing even without the aid of the 5 sense organs. Is it not reason enough to celebrate poetry, to celebrate literature, to celebrate poets, even the one who is at the end of that list like me? When I read the immortal lines from the song in Shakespeare's play, what is it called? Measure for Measure. A less known play, but a very popular song from that. Take those lips away. How romantic. Take those lips away that so swiftly were forsworn. And those eyes, the break of day, lights that do mislead the morn. Please underline, lights that do mislead the morn. I get into a whirlpool of mystic experience, more metaphysical. The light from her eyes mislead the morn. I'm baffled. No, I'm not. Sun is baffled. Generally, at the time when sun rises, it should be dark. We all know that. And slowly the sky gets lit by the rays of sun. But here in these lines, while sun rises, it was not dark because already the light from her eyes had lit the sky. Sun is baffled. Have I come astray from my usual path? Thinking so, sun attempts to take a different route, deviates. This is a cosmic event. Oh, one must read those lines appropriately to get absorbed into that cosmic glow. Well, I already mentioned about the great Tamil poet Kamba. I recall he wrote 400 years before Shakespeare. In one of his poems, he describes the scene where Lord Rama, along with his wife Sita Devi and brother Lakshman, they were walking into the wild. He repeatedly asserts that Rama was a dark-complexioned lad. How dark? How dark? He starts wondering in that poem. Again, he is baffled. Why? He sees that sun is bedimmed by the bright rays emitted by Rama's dark skin. Please come with me. I'll repeat it. Sun is bedimmed by the bright rays emitted by Rama's dark skin. How can it be? How dark is it? The darkness that devours everything that is. Nothing can escape its gigantic swallow. But how? How can something dark emit bright rays? A black hole? Hawking's radiation? All these are modern concepts. But the poets who had that foresight, who had that insight, they could unravel these mysteries. To them, A dark matter can emit bright rays. And that was the message of the great poet Kambar. So he says, what is this darkness? A chunk of emerald? Or the dark paste that women adorn the rim of their eyes with? The dark ocean or the darkest rain-bearing cloud? Ayo! He uses the word. You all know that word. It's a simple word. It's in desperation. The poet screams, not able to give the right simile. There the word ayo, expressing exasperation, desperation and defeat, heralds the victory of the poem. It passes the poet's experience directly to the reader. See, as I was narrating these lines, were you not transported to a different world? A different plane of experience? That is poetry. That is poetry. Let me say a few lines from a poem that I wrote recently, yet to be published. I broke and fell, shattered into pieces all around me. I broke and fell, shattered into pieces all around me. I see the remnants of what I used to be. From inside me, she emerged like a furious warrior with weapons galore in her arms. I bow before her masculine beauty, dark in complexion, blood-stained attire, fiery eyes and hanging tongue. The world is shivering with a cosmic fear. Yet I know she is poetry, my dear. She is poetry, my dear. That is poetry. In another poem, I think from the book Sound of Silence, I say, my words bleed. My words bleed, not when I speak of ignorance, but when I speak of arrogance. My words bleed, not when I write of poverty, but when I confront dishonesty. My words bleed every time I see indifference to atrocity. If only drops of blood be bullets and shatter the rock of arrogance to pieces. If only every word can spew fire to burn the roots of dishonesty. If only my words can pierce through the iron wall of indifference. As a poet, I can rest assured I have done my best. Well, all poems are not for merely being read or recited like this. Some are tuneful, born with a tune that raises your spirit. Now, in the beginning, I said that Dr. Sanil Raj made a very big statement, I would say, placing me in the Hall of Fame, where he said there was Chaucer, Spencer, and other poets. And he said, in that line comes Vanavil Ravi. That's a great statement. But of this, I had written a song. With your permission, I'll sing that for you. Let us sing. Who's on the panel operating the channel of poetry and music in me? Who's on the panel operating the channel of poetry and music in me? Panning the lens, tuning the notes and blending them perfectly. Outside my mind, where can I find a theater, a studio of this kind? Outside my mind, where can I find a theater, a studio of this kind? Who's on the panel operating the channel of poetry and music in me? So was with Chaucer, Spencer, Shakespeare, Kalidasa, Kamban Bharati. Why I have been chosen remains a mystery. No answer in my life history. Outside my mind, where can I find a theater, a studio of this kind? Will I be an admirer or a mere trespasser into that hall of fame? Will I be an admirer or a mere trespasser into that hall of fame? Will I be a harbinger of a new world order? Anything may happen in this game. Yes, anything may happen in this game. Yes, anything may happen in this game. No poem, ma'am, No poem, my dear students, no piece of literature for that matter is complete when written. Only when a reader reads it, assimilates it and experiences it, it starts the journey towards its completion, perfection, fulfillment. My poems wait for that fulfillment that only you, the readers, can give. Again, I quote from one of my poems, one thing I must say, you cannot turn away from any of these poems. Every poem has fire in it. No one knows when it was lit. As you read, you feed the fire. As you read, you feed the fire with your own will and desire. It's waiting for you to come. It will wait even for a millennium. Thank you all once again. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. The speech was indeed an enriching one. And the poem sung was indeed endearing. We express our heartfelt gratitude for being with us for this entire session. And now let me call upon Agna Biju to deliver the vote of thanks.
I hope I'm visible and audible.
Both.
Thank you so much. A very warm good afternoon to all. First of all, thank you, Vimla College and my dear HOD Nisha ma'am for honoring me with this golden opportunity to be among such academic intellectuals. Today, I'm entrusted with the privilege of proposing an official thank you note for this national online webinar. It gives me immense happiness to be here, and it gives the whole fraternity of Vimla College immense pleasure to jointly organize this one-day national webinar in collaboration with Tamil Cultural Research Center, Palakkad, on this very renowned, illustrious, multifaceted, bilingual poet and erudite, Sri Vanavil K. Ravi. Sir, wow, you rendered me speechless. Hands off to your enthusiasm, sir. It was such a pleasure listening to you. Thank you so much for your time, for your presence, and also for your wholehearted cooperation, Vanavil, sir. Thank you so much. Many remarkable educators joined us today, beginning from Dr. Nisha Francis Alapat, Dr. Sister Beena Jose, Professor Dr. Sanil Raj, to Professor Dr. K.A. Rajaram, and many others. Thank you, everyone, for your earnest support. Special mention of gratitude to all those who presented their valuable papers, Mr. P.T. Dinesh, Ms. Adira Manoharan, Ms. Sri Lakshmi P., and Dr. G. Hemalata. Thank you so much. Also, it was very unfortunate that Dr. R. Kavita was not able to present her paper. But in spite of all these, thank you so much for being part of the online webinar. Thank you to all the reputed participants, teachers, research scholars, and all the others for being part of this webinar, cooperating with us with a lot of patience. Looking forward enthusiastically for many such illuminating programs and collaborations. I, on behalf of the entire Vimla community, extend my heartfelt gratitude and love to each and everyone for their participation and making this program a pronounced success. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you
Nisha.
All
Thank you,
thanks
With
Dr.
this,
Nisha.
Dr. Nisha.
Mr. Ravi, you gave a
am I
wonderful
audible?
speech.
Ravi sir, I am very much thankful for you. I am very happy. I
Please,
got the
Mr.
opportunity. Like this
Yes.
opportunity, I got that. I am very much happy. Very. Your speech and the seminar was very good. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Dr. Nisha, Dr. Sanil Raj, Dr. Nisha, very grateful to you and thankful to you for arranging the program nicely.
I'm here. Yeah, I'm here.
Your speech was very good, sir.
Oh, thank you, sir.
Dr. Sanil Raj, special thanks to you for a wonderful speech with quotations.
Thank you, sir.
Super.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
So we will meet sometime later. And Dr. Kavita, so Dr. Nisha, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Okay, Dr. Mr. Ravi, you gave a very fine speech. You sang very well and commanded the language. Everything was good. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Rajaram sir. Very much thank you. You have made a full arrangement for this seminar. I am very much thankful. Thank you.
He is from Army. He is from Army, retired from Army and then took up literature and
என்ன
scholar.
பேர் அவரு? What is name?
Periyaswamy. Periyaswamy.
பெரியசாமி எங்க what is he actually?
Sir, Perambalur, you have forgotten anything, sir. We met in Tanjore. And
you are
we have spoken
retired
so many
professor?
times here. I am from Perambalur, Dr. Periyaswamy.
Retired professor.
No,
Yes,
no.
sir.
He was a retired Army person.
Oh, army man. Okay.
Sorry, you forgotten I think so, sir. We met
உங்க எனக்கு ஷேர் பண்ணுங்க உங்க நம்பர் எனக்கு ஷேர் பண்ணுங்க.
already with you, sir. We spoken
Yeah,
so many
yes.
times.
I'll do it. I'll do it. I'll give it.
No, I don't have it.
I'll give it to you. I'll give it to you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Vanavil sir, thank you so much from the side of Vimla College,
Thank you.
especially. Rajaram sir, a big
You're
thanks
welcome.
to you and everyone, Sanil sir, and everyone who participated at the seminar. Once again, a big thanks to all of you.
We'll stay in touch. Thank you.
Dr. Nisha, thank you very much. Shall I hang up?
Yes, 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 sir.
Okay.